What's good, everybody? My name is Ryan Shepard. You're listening to episode 39 of the Put in the Group Chat podcast. My name is Ryan Shepard. The time is 6:20 Central on 6:20 Central PM, on Friday, October 29th, 2021. And I'm here with my two co-hosts, Gerald and James. How are y'all doing?
I'm fine. Oh.
Go ahead. You already started.
No, I'm doing fine. Just about to, it's time to wrap up football for a minute, and then we can get to the NBA. But second half of the season for football, just about.
I wish I could jump from football to basketball, but Marcus Smart is already pissing me off. So, yeah, not doing too well for Boston fans.
I've never seen like a force for like city just complain so much. Like, oh my God. Like, it's just not, Marcus Smart sucks. Like, man, hush.
He doesn't suck, but man, offensively, he is the most annoying player in the world. My God.
Man, like, go watch a Bruins game or something.
Man, when's the last time you watched a hockey game?
Right.
I don't have a hockey team in my city.
It's still on television.
Why would I watch the hockey? I have two seasons. The Royals and the Chiefs, okay? So, like, they try to make Sporting KC a thing. It's not really a thing, but okay, that's fine. But, I got two seasons, and I got to wait for one, and I got to wait for the other, and when one's not going bad, the other is not going well either. So, you just got to work it out.
Super Bowl like a year ago. What are you talking about?
Man, I've been there for the, what do you they 3-4 this year. What are you talking about?
Okay, never mind.
I'm just saying, like, it's been, you look forward to this season because the baseball team's not good and the football team's not good either. So, what are you going to do about it?
Wait till next season.
All right. Whereas Gerald just be turning on anything, Nesson, with their racist ass anyway. But anyway, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, though.
You talking about like Boston, like Boston's the capital of
I'm sorry. Nesson caught a stray. They shouldn't have caught a stray on them. I'm sorry.
I'm about to say, last week I heard about Jay-Z suing the Kansas City Police Department. Not just an officer, the whole department.
Jay-Z did that?
Yes.
I ain't hear nothing about that. Shit, I've been going to school. I've been trying to keep my head in them books. But yeah, tell me more about that though, because sure. Listen, the KC Police Department is not the greatest, so.
Do some live research here. Like you can only get on this podcast. Jay-Z, Kansas City. Headline, coming from CBS News, Jay-Z's Team Rock files lawsuit accusing police in Kansas City, Kansas.
Oh, yeah, I don't know nothing about that.
Of covering up misconduct. Team Rock's film therapy group has filed a lawsuit against the police department in Kansas City, Kansas, in an effort to obtain complaints of alleged misconduct against officers. The suit filed Monday in the Wyandotte County District Court claims
that they're gonna get you, my brother. There's a Wyandotte. You can't call them. It's a Wyandotte. Oh no. Nah, but I don't know nothing about KCK like that. Like, I got friends that stayed in KCK or whatever, but I don't know anybody like that. So I didn't know he was suing KCK's police department.
One officer was reportedly charged with buying sexual relations, and last year another was reportedly charged with sex crimes involving a minor.
Ooh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Can't be doing that.
So shout out to CBS and Zoe Christian Jones, excuse me. That sounds, I'm gonna shout her out because I feel like that's a Black name. I like to shout out Black journalists.
Yeah, that's not what we wanted to start with, huh?
We can start with the mini game. Hey,
Smooth transition.
and it actually ties in better than you would think. Today we have a mini game. I'm going to give you 5 news stories. You're going to tell me if they are real news stories or they are fake news stories. Some of them involve sports. Some of them are just out there. But we can start with here. This story here. The headline is "Man tracks down police officer just to slap him in the face and run away yelling, 'Fuck the police.'"
That sounds real. That sounds like a bing bong.
That sounds real.
That sounds like New York. That sounds like, yeah.
Why it gotta be New York? Why it gotta be New York?
That sounds real New Yorkish.
First of all, if you ever seen Jesus Samaro, when you try to run away from the police, you can do it in a car. You don't do it. Like I showed you that video the other day of them, that car just slipping out of that parking spot and driving over the other car and just smoothly getting away. You got to do it in the car because NYPD, they used to running. And also you can't run from the cops in crowded New York streets. That's not gonna work.
That's true, but I can see like New Yorkers having the gumption just to be like, "You motherfucker," and just smack.
Yeah, but that's like saying hello, New York. They're not going. You gotta take it, like you gotta say something like, if you say "suck my dick" to a police officer, that might get you a reaction. But just saying "call him a motherfucker," that's like saying hello in New York.
Okay.
But back to the mini game. That is a real news story. The story goes, in today's edition of Unlikely and Odd News, a man in Ouachita Parish, Louisiana, has been charged with battery of a police officer, according to CBS affiliate KNOE 8 in Louisiana. A police officer was driving down the 1800 block of Grandmont Street when a man by the name of Troy Davis waved down the cop. Responding to the call for assistance, the officer pulled over and Troy Davis allegedly approached the car window. As Davis approached, the officer claims to have greeted Davis. "What's up, man?" the officer allegedly asked. In a surprise move, Davis is accused of slapping the officer and attempting to flee the scene. Police reports also claim that Davis had a message for the officer as he fled the scene. "Fuck the police," Davis shouted. Battery of a police officer in that area of Louisiana comes with a potential sentence of anywhere from 15 days in jail to 6 months in jail and a $500 fine.
I just spent half a year in jail for slapping the cop. Like, what the fuck?
Like, them Louisiana jails ain't no joke.
Fuck the police.
Why he punk him like that though? like, I mean, I'm not fond of the police either, but like, dang, like, why'd you punk him like that? Like, I mean, he was minding his business, I guess.
What's the saying? If you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready.
See, we can't say that. We can't say that because if he had stayed ready, this dude would be dead. So like, let's just call it what it is. It's a funny story.
Maybe if he had hands, he wouldn't have had to use his gun. Maybe if he had hands, but he didn't have hands like that. And first of all, I want to know how he slapped you and ran away, and you was the one in the car. He shouldn't have been able to get away.
I don't know, man. It sounds like he didn't. If he got arrested,
I mean, he eventually got arrested because there's not too many people. Like, you slap an officer, they send out the whole team. It's code red. Moving on to our second news story. NFL star Chase Young was recently featured on Wale's new album, Florin 2, alongside singers Lucky Day and Luke James. Is that a real news story or a fake news story?
that sounds real, just because there's been a whole bunch of athletes in music videos recently. So I guess I would go real.
I'll go real too, because it's like DC, Wale, you know.
All right. We will go to Wale himself for the answer.
Well, and then not only that,
he's not in here. Sorry.
not only that, you delivered on Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
Fire and Ice is crazy. And Caramel.
Fire and Ice almost didn't make the album.
Why?
We ain't had no girls in the studio this time around like that. So like I'm making this joint and everybody coming in like, okay, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, so nobody was, you know. But you know the crazy thing is, I'll be trying to save some of this information for when I see y'all.
Appreciate you.
But the crazy thing is, I haven't told nobody this. I don't even know if it's in the credits, but you know, there's a lot of people on this song. Like Lucky Days in the background, and Clemens, Luke James is in the background, Chase Young.
Chase Young?
Chase is singing on that joint.
Wow.
What? Chase singing on there. It's a couple of the homies, because I wanted to make it like Jodeci, like singing in the background. So, you know, Lucky's doing that.
Yeah. So Chase Young, Washington football team defensive end. If he wants to have a post career as a background singer, it is available to him.
Who's gonna tell him that though?
Hey, that's
Chase gonna walk up to you talking about, hey, let me get in the stew. What you gonna tell him?
like that officer. I'm gonna get in that car and I'm drive.
Obviously, he's good. What?
I never
Well,
thought.
if he's asking me for the studio, that means we've come to an impasse. Because you should have the money for the studio. Why are you asking me?
I'm
He
just,
on a
trying,
rookie contract.
I'm just trying to fathom the fact that I heard Chase Young and Jodeci in the same sentence without it being a joke. I don't.
Hey,
That's hilarious.
okay, next up, we have a story coming out of the sport of boxing. Jake Paul has signed on for an exhibition fight against Tyson Fury.
I don't think he wanted that smoke. I think that's fake.
Ain't no way, man. Ain't no way. What the meme say? Ain't no way. Man.
Ain't no way.
Fucking way.
This story is coming from ESPN. One of the knocks on Jake Paul has been that he has not fought a real boxer, in quotes. That criticism will mostly be addressed at the end of this year. Paul, the YouTube star turned prize fighter, will fight fellow undefeated boxer Tommy Fury on December 18th in Tampa, Florida. It was officially announced Friday. The bout will be contested at 192 pounds and is contracted for 8 3-minute rounds.
He ain't never gonna fight a full boxing match if they don't make him.
I mean, at this point in your career, you wouldn't fight. I'm surprised that he's fighting 8 rounds. That's for someone that's what 3, 4 fights in his career. 8 rounds is a little bit long, but
He ain't taking too many jabs, man. Like he need to stop out of your head. That's what I'm saying. He didn't make so much money boxing. He only boxed 2 people.
no, he fought. This will be his thing. This will be his 4th fight.
Okay, I mean, sure. No.
Get that money, get paid. Yeah.
That's one of Vince Staples' underrated ones. Get paid, get paid.
All right, we got 2 more stories. This one comes from the NFL. Chief Keef's Love Sosa used by Tom Brady to troll Chicago Bears following NFL win.
Yeah, that's true. That's
got to be true. That sounds like Tampa Brady.
There's a difference now? The
man drunkenly threw a Lombardi. There's clearly a difference.
Hey, he's enjoying. He's living life out here.
Caught COVID too. Yeah, ain't nobody saying nothing about that though. Caught COVID.
I mean, if you're out here I guess if you're out here, you're around people, you're a celebrity, it's a possibility.
There was no mask at that parade. I would have been shocked if he said he didn't catch.
I mean, but he also lives in Florida. They don't really. They don't believe in masks down there. They don't believe in them.
We gonna look back and be like Florida. Damn.
That is a true story, coming from Tom Brady after I don't know what the final score was. I stopped watching. It was 27-0.
38. 38.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Happy Monday. Hope you guys are having a great day. What a game yesterday. The defense gave up 3 points. The O-line played great. The running backs were on fire. Mike had 3 tutties. And we're 6-1. Here we go. Headed to New Orleans on Halloween night. It's going to be a huge game. Going to be a great week. Let's go.
I kind of would appreciate it more if he put the uncensored version, but I understand that he's out here as a role model, in quotes. He's a role model for the kids.
Ain't my kids.
For the last story, comes out of the world of baseball from the World Series. After intense discussions, the Atlanta Braves have decided to ban the chop for the remainder of the World Series. Is that a real story or a fake story?
I mean, I know that's real because James been tripping about what's going to happen to the Chiefs for a minute.
That's not that they didn't ban it though, did they?
It is not a real story. They have not banned it.
Okay. Ain't banned it yet.
It's just weird. It's just weird because, like, did y'all hear that? Okay, so the Buffalo game, they pan to the Chiefs crowd and they do the chop or whatever. And then Collinsworth was like, oh boy, they're going to get in trouble. Did y'all hear that?
No.
Yeah. Collinsworth was like, I can't do that now. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, Florida State was better. They would take some heat too, but I'm just saying, like, we talk about all this chopping and stuff, whatever, with the Braves, and on Monday night, that's exactly what ESPN finna do. Pan to the crowd, and they finna do that. And it's gonna be crazy.
Look at these folks out here wilding.
What you say?
No, they're gonna be like, look at these ingrates out here. It's gonna make it all about the state of Georgia because they already done moved the All-Star game out of there. So
great. It's crazy because, like, Deion Sanders came up with that.
True.
And where did Deion Sanders go to school?
Florida State.
I just love the fact that we're giving Florida State the chop because they ain't got nothing else going on right now.
Hey, Florida State fans are holding on for everything. But you know what? I'm rooting for Florida State because you know who they're playing this week? Clemson University.
Oh.
Beat Dabo as many times as humanly possible. Beat Dabo. I want to see Dabo lose.
Y'all be some haters on Dabo, man. Dabo is like one of the best coaches of all time.
I didn't say he wasn't a great coach. I don't like him as a human being.
You act like he's the first coach to, like, not want to pay players.
Is the difference between saying coaches don't want to pay players and saying using the words of Martin Luther King to defend your state of being because that's what you want to do.
I'll be hard on Dabo. And I'm not saying he right. I'm just saying, like, he a dime a dozen.
Or when he accused Florida State last year of skipping out on a game because they didn't want to get sick due to the coronavirus during a pandemic, and then they tried to charge the school.
That one was bad. That one was really bad.
That's pretty bad. But
Dabo be out here doing wild shit all the time that don't have nothing to do with football.
I feel like Coach K did something similar.
Well, Coach K, I wouldn't be surprised if Coach K and Dexter and the guy from U are the same person. Because Coach K, I feel like in the back of his, when we're not watching, Coach K is out here killing people. Coach K is a crazy person. I don't.
Hey.
Coach K is a crazy person.
Anyway. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
speaking of Atlanta, I know this is something that James wanted to talk about, so we are here with the World Series. We're actually talking about the World Series in some capacity.
Yeah.
This week, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred got a lot of flack and got a lot of pushback for comments he made, according to Chelsea Janes of the Washington Post. In a tweet, she said that Rob Manfred said the Native American community in that region is wholly supportive of the Braves program, including the CHOP. For me, again, this is Rob Manfred. That's kind of the end of the story. In that market, we're taking into account the Native American community. In Atlanta, they've done a great job with the Native Americans. The Native American community is the most important group to decide whether it's important or not. In recent days, there have been a number of people from the indigenous community and not in the indigenous community that have come out and said nothing could be further from the truth. I want to read a quick excerpt of a statement that was put out here by Evan Drellick. He's a reporter for The Athletic. And it's a statement from an indigenous group called the NCAI. I'm going to look it up what that stands for in a moment. But it says yesterday, Commissioner Manfred stated that the question of whether the Braves mascot and tomahawk chop fan ritual are offensive to the Native people is only a local issue. He similarly asserted that the league does not market our games on a nationwide basis. Nothing could be further from the truth. Major League Baseball is a global brand. It markets its World Series nationally and internationally, and the games played in Atlanta this weekend will be viewed by tens of millions of fans across the country and around the world. Meanwhile, the name Braves, the tomahawk adorning the team's uniform, and tomahawk chop that the team exhorts its fans to perform at home games are meant to depict and caricature not just the one tribal community, but all Native people. And that is certainly how baseball fans and Native people everywhere interpret them, said NCAI President Fawn Sharp. So clearly, there's a disconnect between how people feel about this nationally and NCAI looking at it now as a National Congress of American Indians. My question to y'all is, do you see this anytime in the near future being outlawed? Obviously, as we pointed out in the mini game, it's not going to be outlawed before the end of the World Series. But do you think this is something that Major League Baseball will actually take a look at during the offseason and try to eliminate?
Probably not. They let Chief Wahoo go on for a long time, and I think there's a difference between like Indians and Braves. Like, there's a difference, but you gotta do it differently if you're gonna do that, right? So if for example, like the Eastern Michigan people are like, with the Eastern Michigan University is like the Chippewas or something. Like, I think so. And then
I think that's Central Michigan.
Central Michigan is the Chippewas. Like, Eastern Michigan used to be something else, but now they're the Eagles. But yeah, Central Michigan is the Chippewas. And now when I asked them about it, they, when I was thinking about going to schools, I asked them about it. They were like, well, I mean, we support this community and we donate a certain amount of money, whatever. Okay, whatever. Now, that's kind of what you got to do if you want to keep that name. And like, the tomahawk chop probably needs to go. And I think a hard stance on it is probably the best way to go, just in terms of marketing. But the Braves are showing, I mean, they just don't care. Like, they moved the team out of the city. Like, they moved it away from their black fans. I don't think they really care. I think they care what like white fans think, which is kind of bad. So, and as for like Native American imagery in the first place, I don't know. Like, because Braves and like Chiefs aren't necessarily slurs, so you can't like equate them to Indians and Redskins. Although, if you're gonna do the tomahawk chop and you're gonna name your stadium Arrowhead, you probably need to change those things if you want to keep the name. So I don't know. It's a complicated issue, I think, because it's just like we talk about Black people not being monolithic, right? Like to say the Native American community finds this offensive. Okay, every Native American probably doesn't find it offensive. But I think enough of them do, whereas you have to take that into consideration. So,
Right. I agree with that. I think part of it is just like, depending on how big the outlash is, and unfortunately how much it's going to affect the bottom line, because just how businesses are, they really don't make a lot of change unless it affects anything money-wise. I also do agree with you. There is like a gigantic difference between what happened with the Redskins and, the Chops when it comes to the Chiefs and the Braves, mostly because Redskins was like a very, very bad term that the football team kind of just had for a while. So like, it's a bit different when we're talking about teams that have like mascot that are just linked to indigenous people rather than like a slur or something to that manner. Because like, you're right, they haven't actually touched I don't know, has the Seminoles been faulted for, I guess it would be the chop yet? Because I don't know.
no, because I don't think so. I don't hear it when they talk about Florida State.
They've probably been the most like Teflon of the group. No one's really ever come out after them.
Because I think they do stuff for the Seminole people. That's what I think. I'm not quite sure.
I'm not quite sure. I also think it has to do, there is a level of church and state when it comes to professional and college, and there's more pressure we typically put on professional teams to change it as opposed to schools.
I don't mean to interrupt, but it's not like college people haven't changed it before, though, right? So like St. John's used to be the Red Men, right? Now they're the Red Storm. Stanford used to be the Indians, I want to say.
Yeah, like you said with Eastern Michigan, they used to be the Hurons, and that's like a
right Huron, right. So I don't know. I mean, and I don't think these are the same, but it's like, you have other, oppressed peoples that are probably, it's not as common as Native Americans. Like the Fighting Irish is probably not the best. It's just probably not. But I mean, I know it's not the same, but it's not the best.
But they're also a school run by people of Irish descent. So it's like,
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I know the history behind that, but I'm just saying, like, I hate to, like, I think it's racist, yeah, but I also think like there are ways around it if you really want to like honor Native people through that. Like, if you want to do that, you can do that. But I don't think they have an interest in doing that. And that includes the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs have a interest in doing that. Like while the Redskins were like, changing their name, and I'm not saying the Redskins or the Washington football team is like the best example of this. The Chiefs built a new drum deck, so it's like, what are we doing here? So I don't know.
I also think the point is kind of like I took from what Manfred said, is kind of, I don't want to read too much into it, but it from the stuff I've read, it sounded almost like if we donate or we do this amount of like community service, we can have a name. And that's not how it works. Like, you don't get to buy your way out of being discriminatory. If something's discriminatory and people find it discriminatory, then it's discriminatory. Like, especially when people are telling, like, I don't know how much Rob Manfred knows about indigenous communities, but I would assume the National Congress of American Indians knows more about what's a caricature of indigenous people more than Rob Manfred is. And if they're telling you it's a caricature, what is like, I guess what I would need to talk to a Braves fan is like, why are they so tied to that child? I know it came from Deion Sanders, but like, why are they so dug in on this is what it's going to be for something that's fairly new? Like, it's 30 years, but it's still fairly new as opposed to like the Chiefs that's been there for decades upon decades upon decades. And I could see why someone's more attached to that than like, it's not even the name. Like, it's like, you could change it. People change logos all the time. Like, they're not even asking you to change the name. Like, they're just asking you to change the logo and like some of the stuff you do in the stand. Like, that doesn't seem very hard to me to change.
Like, yeah, like I think the Chiefs like wouldn't have to change their name if they would like get rid of Arrowhead and get rid of the drum deck. But you know, it's I don't know. Like, it's weird. Like what responsibility do football teams have and baseball teams have to like right the wrongs of like the U.S. government? And like, I know that's a bigger, broader question, but it's like, okay, if I'm the Atlanta Braves, like, I don't even know that. I mean, the Atlanta Braves didn't do like the Trail of Tears. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying like they don't have a responsibility to do that. I'm just saying it's like, well, they didn't really create the situation. So I don't know. I think it depends on like what you're able to do around that name. Like, I think Florida State is probably, I think if you're talking about like if you're talking about like an actual tribe and you're trying to take on that tribe, like, I think that's a difference between like doing that and being like the Indians or like some caricature of like the Braves, you know. So, you know, even the Chiefs to a certain degree, I think, is a caricature. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. So it's a complicated situation more so than, because it's like, well, you could like just get rid of them, but like they don't want to do that. So are people gonna stop going to games? No. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like bugs me out when like certain names they'll just change on the drop of a dime. Like they'll change locations, like with the Bullets. That got changed a lot easier than it's been able to change some of these newer team names. And I understand what the issue was with having a team named Bullets. I get why it was an issue, but it was like that got changed so much more easily than a name that
The Redskins, right?
like, yeah, it just like it kind of trips me out when I think about that. But to your point, I think the question about what sports teams have to do to kind of engage with socio-political issues is kind of being leaked more often because we're treating them like corporations. Like when the stuff with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor happened, they were putting pressure on corporations, and that includes the Braves, that includes Major League Baseball, that they're putting pressure on. And whether that's right or wrong is a debate in itself, but there is more pressure being put on these organizations, as evidence like what's going on in Texas. I'm not sure if y'all saw the president of the NAACP, Derek Johnson. He recently put out a letter basically urging players in free agency across, I think it's the NBA, NHL, NFL, MLB, and WNBA not to sign with teams in Texas.
Mhm.
That's stupid. Like, I'm not saying, I'm sorry. Maybe we need to cut that out. But what I mean is, why would what?
Okay, I shouldn't laugh because there is a serious background to why it got to where
I
we
know
are.
that, but like, why in the hell would I not sign with a team in Texas? There's no sales tax. They're about to pay me $30 million. What? Why would I do that?
The reason why they're telling people not to sign with teams in Texas, I think it's kind of, whether they want to mention it or not, I think it kind of has to do with around the Texans. The Texans have had a long line. I don't know why personally anybody want to play with the Texans, but again, I've never been offered $30 million to play football. So Yeah, but the main issues that he brought up in the letter were one, SB1 and SB8, which are two really restrictive voting laws that are beyond restrictive. What you would like, what they moved out of, the law that caused them to move the MLB All-Star game out of Georgia is child's play compared to what they're doing in Texas. It's really restrictive in Texas. And then on top of that, I'm sure most people listening to this have heard of the heartbeat bill, which is basically, I think it's 6 weeks after you're pregnant, you can't have an abortion in the state of Texas, which goes against what they put in. Like, so they're just trying to get people, I guess the play is to get people, once you get more athletes saying, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to go here because of what you're putting in place, it'll drive some of the owners to be like, okay, I still want to win. So what we got to do to fix this, whether that work or not, I personally don't think that would work. But then again, I'm not the president of NAACP, so I'm also not an athlete.
I don't think that's smart at all. Like, what?
It also just feels like weird, where it's like, don't sign with like Dallas, but you should sign with Vegas though. Don't worry about the fact their coach just got fired for some racial stuff. Vegas, yeah, that's where you go.
They had the same law in Ohio. Like, wait, I don't. Okay, all right. Like, I'm not saying that's. They're gonna think we a bunch of black conservatives on here, but I'm just saying, like, nah, that just doesn't make sense. Like, I think that's misguided. That's all. What you think, Ryan? Because it puts you okay. I think it's misguided because it puts, and I'm gonna put a leftist spin on it. Don't play, but it puts faith in people that aren't invested in that type of stuff anyway. The athlete / celebrity class doesn't care.
And for me, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
I'm just saying, like, whether Dak Prescott, and then I know that's a bad example, but still, I know that's a terrible example. Dak Prescott doesn't care about who votes where in Texas, obviously.
I think that for me, like, I agree with you on the entire premise of telling people not to go work in Texas is not going to do the damage that I think they would want it to do. But I also, to what you were saying earlier, I do think they should care. They should care. I'm not saying that they do care, but they should care about whether you can vote. They should care about the health of, I don't know who their trainer is, but it could be a person that could be giving birth to a child or who's working. They should care about the people around them. I'm not saying that they do, but they should.
But why is that up to black athletes though?
It didn't say black. There was nothing in there about black. NHL in there too.
It wasn't black athletes? Okay.
No, the NHL in there too.
Okay.
And MLB. And MLB, as we know, does not have that many black people.
They got plenty of black people. It just ain't got no Afro-American. But yeah, that's wild. That's wild to me, man. Like, you asking the wrong people to go into the. I'm just saying, if somebody was offering me, if the Astros was offering me, right? Let's say the Astros was offering me 4 years, $44 million, right? I'm a bullpen pitcher or whatever the hell, right? I ain't got no. There's a reduced. There's no income tax in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They sell houses for $300 per house. Okay.
In the hood.
Now I'm just saying, like, you can get land for like whatever in Texas, right? And I'm rich, and I'm gonna live in Houston. Come on, man. Come on. I don't know, man. NAACP gonna have to come up with something different. That's all I'm saying, bro. But not also, like, they don't care. They don't care.
They don't care. They don't.
The average athlete does not care about that.
Like if you're telling somebody I can get Cowboys money.
Because Jerry Jones be putting their guaranteed on there.
Guaranteed. And just the endorsement deals you can get as a Dallas Cowboy.
They have your back through the thick too. You could ask Deacon Zach that.
Yeah, unless you does.
Back. Ooh,
I mean, well, to be honest, they almost didn't have Dak's back either. It sounded like.
That's true. They were close there.
that's tough though. His ankle kind of went in 3 places. That's the only reason. That's the only reason because they was gonna give him his money.
Yeah, they were going to dish it.
Because
before he was healthy,
think about the one. Okay, it's not that they weren't. People were like, if he was Tony Romo, they'd have been had this up. Dak declined the $35 million offer per year. So it's like, is that really the Cowboys' fault? Like,
well, to be fair, he's kind of proved that he's worth. If we're talking market value, he's kind of proved that he's worth more than 35.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how they do in the playoffs. Let's see.
How much Kirk's cousin get? How much Kirk's cousin got?
See, we're not going to do this because if y'all want to start measuring the athletes, what they make in the NFL.
Kirk Cousins, the reason Kirk Cousins got all that money is because Washington is like incompetent. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, before we go to break, I'm not sure how confident the Cowboys are, but that's a different discussion for a different.
Well, speak to it.
All right. We're gonna come back in a minute and we're gonna talk. We got some Knicks talk. The Knicks are back. And
Go New York, go.
And the Nets I don't want to talk about the Pacers. It's a tough time. But we'll be back in a second. Before we get into our next segment, as always, we have our song of the week. This week, our song of the week is going to be Fire and Ice featuring Wale and Chase Young. So we'll be back in a minute. Peace.
They told me I ain't wrote nothing poetic in a long time like that. Ice, ice cold. Rain on me, fire, baby. Take that
Double fucking
overtime! What the fuck, baby? New York is fucking back! Knicks are here, baby! The Knicks are fucking here, baby! Fresh out the garden, baby! We're taking it all the way! We had De Blasio, we had Cuomo, it was rough shit, but we have the Knicks! That's New York! Knicks run New York City! Bing bong! Tell me a little something!
Bing bong!
We're not coming to the Knicks! Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks? Let's go Knicks! Let's go Knicks! Let's go Knicks! Let's go Knicks! Real talk, I'm from New York, and you know what? Tom Brady's a fucking bitch. Fuck Tom Brady.
Yeah. If you are outside MSG after Knicks game at a certain hour, really any hour, because that could have been on Sunday afternoon, that you probably would have got the same energy. That's the kind of feeling you're getting outside of the New York Knicks, which is really annoying if you're Trae Young, but really funny if you're just about any other team in the league, because the Knicks aren't going to win anything of significance, because they're the Knicks. But
it's a star away though, and they got the people to go get a star.
Yeah, they just got to get rid of somebody.
That's fun.
No, I'm talking about James Dolan. James Dolan, go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're about 5 games into the regular season. I don't believe we have any undefeated teams left, because I believe Charlotte lost. Bulls lost. Actually, no, we do have an undefeated team. It was the team with I believe they had the best regular season record last year, the Utah Jazz. But we are not here to talk about the
How many
Jazz.
Giants games we watching this year?
Zero.
They're gonna be the number one seed and be like, good for them.
But I just want to start by reading off the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference that are tied for the Eastern Conference lead. The New York Knicks, the Charlotte Hornets, the Chicago Bulls, and the Washington Bullet Wizards.
That's some. That's like 1995. Like, what is going on?
It's like this every season. Like the Magic usually start off on like a 4-0, 5-0 run and then drop off. Like most of these teams probably aren't going to be here by the end.
Yeah.
No, the Bulls are for real though. Bulls, man, Bulls will get you where you need to go. And then people said Billy Donovan couldn't coach. I remember that. Huh? Who said that? That wasn't y'all two, but somebody listening to this. You remember saying Billy Donovan couldn't coach? Well,
I never said he couldn't coach. I just said it's hard to tell if he's a great coach when he's coaching Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. I don't know what to make of this because he's clearly not the one in charge.
He got the small team to like the 6th seed or something.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, we got some good. I guess the main topic has been the changing of the rules. We have referees were kind of been told to kind of lay off, not call fouls as much because they don't want to get into the whole discussion of whether we have to fine people for flopping, this, that, and the third. We also have the return of the Warriors at 75%, because clearly the 77th greatest player in the NBA history is not on the court. So how could you be 100%? But I guess we didn't really get to, because we talked about the NBA 75 list last week. We didn't get to kind of talk about what we expect for the season, what we want to see. So I guess that we can start here. What are you most excited to see now that the NBA is back?
I know it's not the most exciting thing, but I'm excited to see if Jokic can win another MVP. That'd be dope. See if Jokic is going to drop off or what is Jokic going to do. And then, the Bucks, I mean, Giannis, if he's going to step into that sphere, oh, man, some of them people going to have to watch their back. I'm looking at you, Kevin Durant. I'm telling you, man. He win another ring, or if he wins another MVP this year, we talking top 15, top 10, stuff like that.
I mean, yeah. For me, I think I'm just interested seeing how these teams are going to lay out, whether it be chemistry-wise or just injury history. Like, we know eventually Kawhi Leonard will probably be back somewhere near the end of the season. How good are the Clippers going to be before then? How good is Clay going to be when he come back? He's been out for like a good 2 years now. Is he going to be the same player? Obviously, we know how good the Bulls offseason was. How would that pay off? Miami's offseason, how would that pay off? So, just seeing how these teams sort of get together and figure things out is going to be really interesting for me going into the season.
I think for me, outside of my own team, is kind of seeing how I'm interested to see how some of these younger teams come together. I'm interested to see how the Cavaliers look. I'm interested to see how the Bulls look, how the Timberwolves look, because I think we've gotten to the point where I don't want to say we haven't gotten to the point where it was like with the Cavs and the Warriors, where it was basically a foregone conclusion. We knew what the finals was going to be pretty much every year, unless something drastic changed. But I do think we're kind of in a situation where we have a bunch of good younger teams, but we still expect the same thing that we've been getting, which is LeBron and another superstar. And as LeBron gets older, I'm kind of trying to see where that changing of the guard is going to be. I don't say I don't count last season because obviously Bucks won it fair and square, but we had a shortened season. We're basically, I forget who tweeted it out. Basically, we're playing 3 seasons in the span of like 20 months. Like Adam Silver's going to hell. Adam Silver's going to hell. When these people do all this. But like this is we've gotten not a full off season, but a good amount of time off. Obviously, some guys are going to be load managed. We're going to get Kawhi back, as Gerald said. We're going to get Clay back. We're going to get some people back.
Jamal Murray.
Huh?
I said Jamal Murray.
Jamal will be back. Yeah.
Jamal Murray as well. I'm just trying to see where that changing of the guard is going to happen, whether it's this season or next season. Eventually, it's going to happen. Obviously, I don't expect LeBron to fall off a cliff, but there's going to come a point in time where someone is able to beat a LeBron with a healthy team. Not beating LeBron with Daniel Gibson, not beating LeBron with Kevin Love and them. I'm talking about like beating a LeBron with a team that he put together, he wanted, and he's able to play as close to 100% as you can play in the playoffs. I want to see what that looks like. And just beyond that, I want to see. I know Zion's been getting flamed for his Naruto outfit that he had on the other game, but I need to see Zion on the court. Otherwise, I'm gonna start having. I already have some questions, but I'm about to have some real questions if Zion is not back before we get to like the 20 game mark. If he misses 20 games this season, what are we doing here? Because at a certain point, it's like it's your health, you can only do but so much, but it's been clear like Zion's not doing what everybody pretty much has been telling him to do, which is get a nutritionist, lose some weight, like figure out what you need to do to get your body in full shape so that you're not consistently tearing your meniscus and fucking up your foot.
Dog, he's 27 a game off of 60% shooting. Like, bro, he need to be on the floor. Like, that's crazy. Like, man. Like, it shouldn't be a conversation between him and John Murray. Like, if he were to take care of himself, it wouldn't be a conversation.
Be a conversation.
No, I would. Bro, my boy, 27 a game.
Like, I like Ja. Ja's a good player, but he's not Zion.
He's not Zion. I mean, Zion don't shoot no threes. He like Barkley, but like, I don't think he's better than Barkley, but you get my point. But I wonder what the world's going to do with these white superstars, huh? We about to have some white boys take on over.
Like who?
Luka,
Jokic.
I'm used to Luka and Jokic at this point.
Jokic. And none of them speak English like that.
No.
Like even Giannis don't speak English like that.
Yeah. I was hoping Kristaps could be it because Kristaps is fun. But
that's what I'm saying. Kristaps, he on the maps. Jokic, I'm trying to think. Ain't there like I feel like there's one more I'm thinking of. Am I tweaking?
Caruso.
Caruso. But now we got some elite white players, which is crazy.
I thought you were going to say Tyler Hero. They've been trying to sell me on Tyler Hero.
I mean, that's another one, but yeah, Tyler Hero. I'm talking about like Euros. Yeah.
Also, I'm interested to see what the Raptors look like. That's a real interesting team to me because they're almost like the Knicks. They're deep. They have a bunch of like good B players, but I don't even know if they have like a Julius Randle on that team.
Who?
The Raptors.
Well, they're hoping that Siakam can go back to the Siakam before the bubble started. That's what they're hoping for. Scotty Barnes looks pretty good for them.
Yeah, Scotty's on my fantasy team. Scotty, Jalen Green. Looking forward to I think Kate Cunningham is supposed to play either tonight or tomorrow night. So we'll get to see him. I've paid so little attention to this rookie class outside the people on my fantasy team. I don't even know what injury Kate Cunningham had. To be honest with you, I watched like 5 of his games in college. I was like, he's good. I don't know how it translates to the league, but he's good.
Here's the thing about that, except for like Zion and Ja, it's too much talent in the league for you to be like, like one, the rookies are too young, right?
Mhm.
And then two, there's too much talent in the league for me to be worried about. Like, oh, is Jalen Green gonna develop? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like Kevin Porter Jr. Like, what do I care? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool to watch on like League Pass and stuff, but it's not like, you know, they're not gonna make an All NBA team. Like, even Zion didn't make an All NBA team last year, right? So they're not gonna make an All NBA team for like 2, 3, 4 years, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, and then you know you got people in the second round, like you know, like Jokic or whatever came in the second round. Like you never know, like who's really gonna pop off from that you know, from that class. So, you know. But what you do have to watch out for is this though. Guys who are like 5 stars who get forgotten about and then they end up having like most improved seasons or stuff like that. You gotta watch out for that. Like Julius Randle's a good example of that. But no, go ahead though.
No, it's just, no, you can go, John.
No, I was going to just say, like, yeah, you know, we have a few examples of that. Julius Randle was one. Brandon Ingram was one before he got traded to the Pelicans. A lot of people kind of cast him aside, but then he kind of had a breakout season, got an all-star. Yeah, like, obviously it's hard to kind of decipher who's going to develop into where. And, like, the league is just stacked, right? Jason Tatum didn't make All-NBA. Zion didn't make All-NBA. Westbrook didn't make All-NBA last year. All of them with legitimate candidacies. Like, it's really hard to kind of determine, you know, after we get past the top 10, who falls where. And I think this season should help with a lot of that.
Like, think about this though, right? The Bulls, right? The Bulls might win 50 games this year, right?
Right.
Do they really have an All-NBA player? If they win 50 games, is like Levine gonna be All-NBA third team?
That's a possibility. I wouldn't say it's impossible for that to happen.
I'm not saying it's impossible either. I don't know how the season's gonna play. I'm just saying, like, off top, you'd be surprised if the Bulls had multiple All-NBAers, right?
Oh, they had multiple. I'd be like,
Right.
And even Levine
and
is
that's
tough.
not a knock to the Bulls, though.
Yeah, like even Levine's tough because you know Curry's going to have one spot. Harden's probably going to have a spot. Dame's going to have a spot. Luka's going to have a spot. That's like 2 left.
Right. I mean, I don't know about Dame.
You don't think they ain't going to be All-NBA?
We'll see if Harden can do that too. But I mean, you know, I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, you know, and you never know who's gonna have a breakout season. So it's like, so.
Speaking of 5 stars that didn't do nothing, I saw Harry. Was it Giles?
Oh yeah, Spencer Giles.
He's this. I forgot it all about him. I think he was the number 2 player coming out of high school going to Duke. Then he got hurt, got to the Kings. He had to play for the Kings.
Bagley?
Shoot.
Are we talking about Bagley?
Nah, although Bagley is another one that got forgotten.
But I think it's with Giles. Giles, I've never seen it come together. Like Bagley, when he was healthy last season, almost averaged a double-double. Like I could see how that would work with Bagley. With Giles, I don't know what is this supposed to be.
Yeah, like think about how good Karl Anthony Towns is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like how many NBAs has he made? Isn't it like 1 or 2?
I'd be surprised if he made any.
I mean, I know people argue he should have made one last year over Rudy, but that's a different story.
I mean, he better than Rudy. Like he better.
He's got 1.
He got 1?
Yeah.
Right, that's my point. He's gonna be in the Hall of Fame, man. Do you understand? Once he gets out of this contract and like goes to a team, he's gonna be in the Hall of Fame, man.
But the fact is, what team is he going to?
It don't matter.
It kind of do matter.
No, is he better than Rudy Gobert or not?
Yes, but I don't think a lot of people.
Okay, then.
Is that good? We just keep giving him defensive.
Rudy Gobert is gonna be in the Hall of Fame, my brother. Like y'all don't understand how many Hall of Fame level players we have in this league.
Which means we have to reassess.
No, you can't. It's too late. It's too late now. You can't reassess. You can't be like Mitch Richmond getting in and then be like, well, I don't know, man. Like,
yeah, at this point, the standard is the standard.
like it's we got so many locks, man, for the Hall of Fame, man. Rajon Rondo made the Hall of Fame. That's all I'm saying.
I don't want to talk about that man after what he did last week. Getting that man kicked out of that game just because he didn't like the way his face looked. Unnecessary.
That's crazy.
I'm looking it up right now. Let's see. Rudy Gobert.
2 defensive players of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a 7% chance.
Really?
How many All-Stars he got?
He's got 2 All-Stars, 4 All-NBAs, 3 Defensive Player of the Years, and 5 All-Defense.
He got 4 All-NBAs?
Yeah.
Okay. But he has 2 Defensive Player of the Years, right?
3.
Dog. That's my point. 3. This boy's like Mutombo. They just put Ben Wallace in the Hall of Fame, man.
Hey, leave Ben Wallace alone.
Look at Ben Wallace and look at Rudy Gobert and be like, well, dang, they resume kind of similar.
Plus, Rudy's
I'm
also
looking at it right now. 4 All-Stars, 2 rebounding titles, an NBA title, a blocking title, 5 All-NBAs, 6 All-Defense, and 4 Defensive Player of the Years.
Oh, you got 4. Okay. So Rudy could win another one and be like, oh, yeah. You got 4 All-NBAs to what, the 5 All-NBAs?
Yeah.
I think he had 4 and Ben Wallace has 6.
So Ben Wallace got 6. And then we like, no offense to Ben Wallace, we saw how Ben Wallace was unplayable the end of his career, right?
We don't know what the end of Rudy Gobert's career gonna look like.
Well, I know he was unplayable last year in the playoffs. Gonna end up in the Hall of Fame, man. I'm telling you, man. We're gonna be like, ooh. Gobert, huh? Yeah, so he not Mutombo.
I mean, looking at
I
this,
don't even think he's Alonzo Mourning. Like defensively.
That's what I don't think he's that good of a basketball.
No, I don't. I mean, I think he's good in terms of like, he's an NBA player, but like they say the advanced metrics show that Rudy Gobert is a plus player. So,
in worst case scenario, he could always just go into the international wing. Like it's.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's what's gonna happen. It's crazy. It's right. Like it's crazy out here, man. It's real. It's real out here, man.
Looking ahead to the speaking of like what we kind of expect from the NBA season, as we did with the NFL season, we have some odds for the NBA Finals and for the NBA MVP. In terms of the NBA MVP, the odd shark favorite at plus 550 is Luka Doncic. Then you have Giannis tied for 550, Kevin Durant at plus 700, Joel Embiid at plus 900, Steph at plus 900, and Jokic at plus 1,500. Who are you taking to be this year's MVP?
They're gonna keep putting Luka as number 1 until he wins this thing, aren't they? They're like, wasn't this like last year's exact odds with him being number 1 and Giannis at number 2? I could have sworn he was the number 1.
Yeah, I think the only difference is I think Dame was a little bit higher.
Okay. I mean, look, if the Warriors do what everybody thinks they're gonna do, Stephen Curry is gonna have to carry that team really far until Klay gets back. I know Pools looks all right, but yeah, I guess I'd go Curry because I think for the Warriors to be what people want them to be, Curry's gonna have to put a lot of loads on his shoulder.
Yeah. I can go with Steph. That's fine. Or Steph or Giannis. Yeah. Yeah. See, Anthony Davis, man, should be in the MVP conversation every year, man. It's just That's crazy. He gonna play for the Lakers, have no MVP, man. Like, if the Lakers win 60 games, we're gonna be like, all right. But Anthony Davis not MVP. But
I'm just throwing it out here. If anyone wants to take a flyer on it, Donovan Mitchell at plus 3,000.
Nope. I don't know why people think that just because Mitchell be going off in the playoffs, that's what he is in the regular season. So we just kind of act like he should be in the MVP conversation.
real cold.
We had this conversation last year. Who votes on it? Media members. We do this every year. It becomes a narrative competition.
Nah, you got to be real cold to be
At some point, someone is going to come up here and say, the Jazz, who only undefeated team in the league this season, I expect them to have one of the top 3 records in the league, if not the best record in the league this season again. And we're going to have a conversation about them being overlooked and who's the award going to go to. It's going to be the best player on the team, which you could say is either Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, whoever we throw out there. It's probably going to be Donovan Mitchell. Not to mention a part owner of the team now works in the media, and his name is Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, but Jackie McMullen retired, so that stuff's not gonna happen anymore. Okay, ain't nobody gonna do a piece on Donovan Mitchell like, oh, why can't he be MVP? Because that's how Karl Malone got his first MVP. Jackie McMullen ran a story on it. People were like, oh, why can't he be MVP? It's like, nah, bro. But yeah, nah. I don't think enough. You gotta be real cold to be from that Mountain Time Zone to get an MVP. Like Jokic is cold. That's how that happened. Jokic had like one of the best seasons of all time. Like,
but was it?
Donovan Mitchell's not gonna do that.
My whole thing is, you do have to be cold, but we're also talking to we're talking to basketball. You know how good Nikola Jokic is because you love the sport of basketball. You may not sit down and watch every game. You may not have time to do all of that. But you follow the game of basketball just the same way the basketball writers follow the game of basketball. If you ask the average fan who Nikola Jokic is, they might not know who the hell he is. I'm just saying, in the world of social media where everything's so accessible and we have a select group of people voting on this who follow the game of basketball, I don't think you got to be that cold anymore if you're working in the Mountain Time Zone because everything's accessible. All the numbers are accessible. The games are accessible.
It's true, but also like, what would so you would have to be one of the 2 best guards, right? So if you win MVP, you on NBA first team automatically, right? Yeah. So what would Donovan Mitchell have to post? Like 25, 7, and 7? Maybe off like 40-something%, like off of like 50% shooting. I don't think he can do that.
Either that, or he's got to have some type of like moment. He's got to have moments throughout the season. Something we can throw up on SportsCenter, something we can share, something you can talk about on, what is it, NBA Today now with Michael Andrews or whatever the hell they calling it now.
Yes. Yeah. No, I don't think so. I think he's going to be able to do that.
Moving
to. You be saying if Julius Randle going to get the MVP conversation the way they be talking about the Knicks.
Fuck out of here. Ain't nobody going for that. See, the thing is,
I'm just saying that's what happened.
Hey, that's because the reason why the Knicks will not, it would take, like you said, getting another person to come into there, because no one is going to take the Knicks seriously until they actually beat somebody in the postseason.
That's true.
No one's taking them, because we talk. That's why everybody's laughing at them. If this was the Warriors outside during like the Steph run, talking about fuck Tom Brady, fuck Trae Young, all this, people would hate them. But because it's the Knicks and they're not really a threat to anybody, everybody sees them as cuddly, lovable. Wait till they start winning some stuff. It's like with the Yankees. The Yankees can never be lovable. They'll never be lovable. Yankees fans will never be. They'll be funny, but they'll never be lovable.
You regret not coming to the Knicks. I never understand how a team worth $5 billion is just so like gritty and grimy.
That's because the team plays in a train station. They play in a train station.
If you were gonna come into the Knicks,
That's another thing. Real quick, like they let James Dolan justify anything. They play in a train station, dog. They play in a train station. Any other NBA team, they would not let them be running around here playing in a train station, a dirty train station like that. Like, have you ever been in Penn Station after the sun goes down? Nah, that's not where you want to be. Got rats running all through there. Speaking of, moving on to another team in this city in New York, the NBA Finals feature odds. Odds to win the NBA Finals. We have the Nets at plus 250, Lakers at plus 550, Bucks at plus 750, Warriors at plus 900, Jazz at plus 1200, and the Suns at plus 1300.
Go ahead and make your money off the Bucks now, because Kyrie not coming back.
Nope.
So go ahead, place your Bucks bet now. So that's all I gotta say.
That's what I don't know. Like, if Miami is straight, I could see them giving the Bucks a challenge because they're just probably the best equipped team to face Milwaukee. But Milwaukee would be my bet to make it. Out of the West, I guess I would go with the Lakers. I shouldn't because I don't love that fit at all. But I guess I'll go with the Lakers because I don't see anyone else other than maybe Denver.
For me, I have the Heat and the Sixers in the conference finals. That's provided that Kyrie doesn't come back, which is a possibility. I suggest anyone interested in what's going on in New York to follow the police unions. Because everybody thinks, I hate when people get on ESPN or different sports networks and say it's the NBA's mandate. It's not the NBA's mandate. City of New York. A group of teachers tried challenging that mandate because teachers have to be vaccinated, firefighters, police officers, so on and so forth, have to be vaccinated. The teachers lost their court case. The police union's also fighting it, and so the firefighters union is fighting it. That may make things a little bit more tricky and lead to the vaccine mandate getting changed. How long that will take, I have no freaking clue. Also, my fear is the Nets. The Nets, I feel like, are going to drop a lot of games early in the season, and it's going to hurt them in terms of seeding. And they're going to get a tougher road, and I think that's eventually going to catch up to them. That's why I don't think they'll be in the conference finals. And as far as the Western Conference Finals, I think we're going to get Lakers, Jazz. Not really feeling the Warriors right now because I don't know what Klay's going to look like. I don't even know if Klay's going to be healthy. I hope he can stay healthy, but back-to-back injuries like that, I don't know what that's going to look like. He's definitely not going to be the same defensive player. And eventually, I think you get Sixers, Lakers, and I'm taking Lakers.
Lakers with no Ben Simmons.
I think Ben Simmons is going to play. I think Ben Simmons is eventually going to play for the Sixers.
You think he's going to give his all for a team that's trying to boo him out the building?
I think he's going to give it all once they get rid of Doc Rivers.
Ooh.
Hire Doc Rivers in the middle of the season and still make the finals.
Ass.
What's the truth, Ryan?
I want to put it out there that up until the Bucks won the championship, the note on the Bucks was that they were a regular season team that couldn't get through the postseason. They won a championship. Now everybody expects them to play like that in the postseason every single year, and I don't think that's the reality for the Bucks. I think they're somewhere in the middle.
Ryan racist though. He's trying to get a black man fired.
Hey, I'm trying to see. I'm not trying to get a black man fired. I'm trying to get Ben Simmons back on that team. What he needs to do, he still need to sell that house because that house ugly as shit. But he need to get back with the 76ers. because I think that's the best way it's going to work out. I think eventually everybody understands that this is a job, and they just got to go through it and get to the end of the point.
I
But
bet Ben Simmons, if he had a jump shot, would have been on a 75.
oh, wrapping it up.
Hey, keeping it real. That's all I'm trying to do is try to keep it real on that.
Just a few quick things. Shout out to Abigail Montez, and also shout out to Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields lost her first professional mixed martial arts match by split decision. It comes with the sport. Anybody that you can name your favorite MMA champion, unless their name is John Jones, they probably have lost. It comes with the sport, and hopefully she will bounce back. As we mentioned earlier, Jake Paul is fighting Tyson Fury's younger brother, Tommy Fury. And the bet is sort of like with the Tyron Woodley fight, that if Tommy Fury loses, he has to change his last name. Beyond that, we have Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State, Michigan, Texas, Baylor, Georgia, Florida, Iowa State, Virginia. I mean, not Iowa State, Virginia, Iowa State, West Virginia. And the thing I do want to end on is this. I watched it earlier today. If you have any free time, I encourage you, and you also have ESPN Plus, I encourage you to watch I Run with Maude. It is a documentary that ESPN's The Undefeated did about Ahmaud Arbery, his life, how he was killed. I think a lot of people have the general idea of how he was killed, but don't know a lot of the intricate details. Like William Bryan, one of the people that was following him, worked for the district attorney at the time. Travis Michael, they have a sworn statement from William Bryan saying that Travis Michael called him a fucking nigger as he died on the street. A lot of people think he died on initial gunshot wound. No, he was actually alive when the police arrived and they didn't offer him assistance. It's actually a lot worse when you start learning about the details of how Ahmaud Arbery was killed and just the kind of pain that he was left with, and how this trial is going at this point. They've called in over 1,000 people for jury duty. Half of them did not show up. I did not know you could just miss out on jury duty. That's another thing I learned. But also how it's going to be really difficult finding a jury, just the ins and outs of that case overall. So I encourage anyone with ESPN Plus to please watch that documentary. You will definitely learn a lot about Georgia and that area and his life and how he's killed and just different things. So with that being said, bing bong. We got there's not a lot going on tonight, but a lot going on this week. Also you got next week we got the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football. Are you excited, James?
About them Chiefs.
Against
Monday night and Sunday night back to back. Jesus Christ.
Hey, if they don't win on Monday, we got some serious questions. I might actually be worried.
If they don't win on Monday, that's gonna be a sad day.
At home against the Giants. Also, one thing before we go, Jackson Mahomes, stop dancing in the camera.
Dog,
Stop dancing in the camera.
No.
Making light skins look bad, man.
Him and Ben Simmons just out here just messing it up for everybody.
God damn. I gotta hate his life, man. Nah, that defense so bad though. You're gonna be like, why is New York running? Why is New York like moving the ball? He'd be like, what the fuck?
I guess we can end out on this. We started out with weird news stories. We can end with this news story. town councilman in a small Virginia town has apologized after wearing a deeply offensive and racist Halloween costume. I heard a lot more folks, and that was not my intention. Warsaw Councilman Farron Hamlin wrote on Facebook. Hamlin's apology comes a day after he posted a photo of his Halloween costume, wearing a baby blue suit with a black wig. Hamlin covered himself in makeup to darken his skin and emulate a black character from the popular comedy Coming to America. The caption reads, "Give it up for my band, Sexual Chocolate."
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Shout out Sexual Chocolate. We're gonna get out of here. Put in the Group Chat Podcast, episode 39. Have a happy Halloween, or as I like to call it, adult Christmas. We will see y'all next week. Peace.